But
in
actually,
the end.
Christianity, priest is the first person to landing for the local country, right? Like South America.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Priest of Christianity landed their landed their territory. For example, in South America. Then after that, military landing, right, and occupied that country.
Well, what the Spanish did in South America was clearly theft.
Same thing with India and Singapore. The same thing I said.
Yeah, and I would argue that actually Japan was not
Many
that much
people
different.
believe Christian, but a big difference among Japanese and British people how to manage those local countries.
Right, but the point is, I think that we have something very clearly in common, is that we both let our own interest prevail.
Like every country is the same. Philippines, Malay, the same.
So nobody actually invited us to come to Indonesia and to occupy that country. Nobody.
Oh, Indonesia is the same.
In Korea, invited Japan to come there, and we may.
Korea is
maybe
different.
People had good intention, and maybe people had bad intention.
Yeah, but Korea is different.
Sorry.
Korea is different. The Japanese government tried to copy the colonialization from British, and the Korea is the first colonialization experience, Japanese experience. They tried to copy Indian way. Very harsh.
Right, but
so Korean people still they hate Japanese because they have bad memory. And occupy the territory and take the real estate from them, and immigration from Japan, and harsh treatment of local people, the same as India.
So what I'm trying to say is that actually I believe that there are any kinds of people, they all have something that drives them to find something good. If you don't have that as a country, you don't have something that inspires people, then you cannot unite them into believing into something. It's the same in Germany. I think the Germans were actually 100% surprised about how much resistance they got when they were invading, for example, the Netherlands. Like they thought, why? I mean, basically, you are the same as us. You're part of our empire. We are basically just collaborating with you. Why do you resist so much? They really didn't get it. Because in their opinions, they were trying to do something worthwhile, not simply dominate and put their rule upon us, but for them it was kind of a surprise that
okay, simple question. Why Indonesia tried to battle against for their independence after World War II?
Of course, because actually why did they try to battle independence? Of course, because they wanted to be independent. I think that's also the only reason why they supported the Japanese.
No. Why they battle against the Dutch?
Why they did? Because of course they didn't want to go back to colonialism. It was absolutely clear that didn't bring Indonesia. Well, they wanted to become independent. They didn't want to be controlled by Japan. They didn't want to be controlled by the Netherlands. They wanted to become independent.
Why did your country didn't accept their independence?
Why? Oh, actually, I think that probably because we got too much interest there and too much good stuff from there. I mean, there was a lot of oil, there was a lot of natural resources that in Indonesia. I really think that was a very unfortunate and very stupid decision to not just simply give up, even in spite of pressures from the United States, to give up on Indonesia. It was a period of transition. I think that a lot of people in the Netherlands were put in a very dangerous situation because there was looting and murder and whatever was happening at the time. So it had to be, what they should have done is to transit it and let the people get out. But they were not prepared to do that because we just had too much interest there, enough money there. But yeah, it was just a bad decision, a very bad decision.
That's right. So still very difficult to explain that level of maybe Dutch people level is so high level in Indonesia compared with local people, right?
Well, I think because but again, Uno-san, I think that would the
so far I've read
people
material Dutch people living in environments so pretty house and large house and
No,
good life.
not all. I mean, my mother was born in Indonesia. They lived in a normal house.
Just you said normal house is not compared with your country.
Yeah.
But Japanese is different. They try to live in cooperate with local people level.
Yeah, but of course they did because they didn't have the money to actually live in more expensive houses because Japan was simply not that rich. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't.
One example I tell you: Japanese military occupied Asia Pacific. Soldiers the same level of local people.
Right, because they didn't have any money.
No. They are chasing for better. Of course, they don't have money, but they never chasing for better life. The same food, same life, same house. This is the basic concept of Hako issue. This is very difficult overseas people to understand.
Okay. So maybe you're right.
Yeah, very difficult overseas people to understand.
The only thing I would like to argue with that is that at the same time, so many people lost their lives, and how do you rhyme that with? I mean, okay, so there were good parts and there were bad parts, but ultimately, what makes this so uncomfortable for the rest of the world is that
Ed, I want to say the current Japanese people.
It's completely isolated.
Okay, I tell you one regrettable thing is for Japanese people, they try to feel superiority against Chinese. That is the recent bad flow Japanese people has. They don't want to listen Chinese in speech and Chinese discussion. Japanese want to feel superiority. This is stupid. They didn't like that before World War II. Hako issue denied the kind of attitude. But not now. They don't study history. They try to feel superiority against Asian people. This is stupid. They try to get better housing, better living, better food. Current Japanese they never had like kind of attitude before World War II.
I have a question. What do you think? Okay, the question is basically: do you think that there is a relation between Hakuichu and World War II? In the sense that Hakuichu created beautiful ideas in the minds of people, which allowed them to build up a strong influence overseas. As a result of that, many people lost their lives. Is that a fair statement, or is that not a fair statement? So, was Hakuichu something that inspired the Japanese people, just like Christianity has inspired a lot of European people to go overseas and to spread the message? But as a result, colonialism became a reality. As a result, Japanese imperialism became a reality. So how do you see the role of Hakuichu in mobilizing the population and actually ending up in a place where you didn't want to go, where most people didn't want to go, where most people did not envision, but it happened?
But you don't misunderstand World War II, and this is a military invasion in Asia Pacific. Hakuichu is completely different from them. they had before World War II, before war. The Japanese, just Asian one house, big coordination group in Asia. This is before World War II. It does not relate to war.
It's the same as Christianity.
No.
We built the church all across the world. It's the same.
No, Christianity
situation.
is different. Christianity always using for starting point for the colonization.
No.
Hachiko issue is different.
No. It's absolutely, you're absolutely 100% off. That's
Why?
not
How
the
come
case.
it's like Nagasaki Dejima or just South America, India, Philippines? First priests landed them to spread their Christianity. This is always first step overseas people did.
Yeah.
Then military landing.
Yeah,
No
so
exception.
Christianity wasn't an enabler. That's what I'm saying. Hakoichi was also an enabler for the Japanese. But my point is, if by saying that, by taking the military actions and Hakoichi completely separate, that means I have no responsibility.
Looks like the overlapping, so everybody misunderstanding. Military is actually the Asian war is military is action is invasion, nothing else.
But who supported the military?
No. I told you.
Who allowed the military?
No. And always military headquarters announcement, like fake news and current now fake news, the same as fake news. And Japanese people are cheated by military all the way around. They won the war. They did good thing. They did so and so. They successful, but stupid.
But what do you think about all these people, the priests and nuns who would go overseas, who would see actually with their own eyes what colonialism was doing? We would come to these countries with all the best ideas with spreading Christianity, and then we would see how people live in houses, how they enrich themselves at the cost of the local people. It's exactly the same thing. You could argue that they were betrayed.
I'm talking about military.
But the problem with this whole discussion, about history, etc., is that there seems to be, in my opinion, very little willingness to accept. Basically, Japan is the victim here. The ordinary Japanese people are the victim here, but they have a responsibility. Everybody has a responsibility.
What kind of responsibility?
Just like we have a responsibility for what happened in Indonesia, not just...
Well, what kind of responsibility are you talking about?
The things that happened there. We actually deliberately occupied Indonesia for close to 400 years. That is a responsibility that we as the Dutch collectively, not just the people who did these things, but we let it happen. We didn't stop it.
No, my question is, what kind of responsibility did you have for Indonesia? You said
we occupied Indonesia, and we actually maintained power there. And we basically used the local people and set them up against each other, so that we could control the country and use their resources to enrich ourselves, to bring profits to our people, our country.
But this is only for Dutch people, right?
It doesn't matter. It's the same story everywhere. It's the same for the Portuguese, for the Spanish.
No, colonialism is the same.
Right.
But Japanese is not like that.
How?
This is just Hako issues, right? This is all Asia is coordination, not I.
But okay,
not for Japan.
Look at the results. What was the result of it?
Okay, don't misunderstand military invasion and Hako issue.
Okay, so this is what I'm arguing. So we're now starting to go around in circles. I would say that yes, there is a connection. There is a responsibility, just as there is a connection between Christianity that mobilized people and actually the colonialism that put a big price on the countries that we occupy. It was not envisioned, but we let it happen. The people, the priests, the nuns, the teachers, they let it happen. We let it
Okay,
happen.
I tell you, church and colonization cannot be separable.
No.
But the Hako issue and military action is different.
How?
How? Just basic concept different. Military is just only invasion, like Westerners colonization. Okay, Japan did invasion in Asia Pacific. But basically, not always battle against for those people, not local people like British and Dutch and not always. Asian Pacific Japanese people occupied 3 or 4 years, right? At that time, not like invasion. They try to manage based upon Hako issue. This is different concept. Singapore, yes. Malay, yes.
Okay,
yes.
so all the bad things that happened were the result of the military.
Yeah, that's the reason why now Philippine people like Japanese. They still remember. Like current president, who's the name of that?
Duterte.
Oh, he liked Japanese very much. Philippine people, majority Philippine people, and also Japanese based.
I don't think that is a recommendation that Duterte likes you, Takiro.
Maybe you didn't never studied about Philippine people sentimental issues for Japanese. This is different, and Indonesia is the same.
Okay, I really don't think you're right, and I very seriously doubt whether the Philippine people really like the Japanese as well as the Indonesian people like the Japanese. Of course, if you go to Indonesia, there are also people who like the Dutch. Okay, they exist, but are they really the majority? I don't think so.
Yeah, this is why this gap happened.
Because basically, whatever we do, Uno-san, actually the point is every country, every people, they want to be independent. They know themselves how to deal, and they want to have their own programs and their own development and unite their own culture. Nobody is waiting for other countries to occupy it or coordinate, if you call it. Nobody is actually interested in that. People want to form their own countries. They don't need coordinators. They don't need other people to tell them what to do.
Yeah, I thought the same idea what you said several years ago, before I got the lecture from Sonoda. He studied a lot about Asia Pacific, very much. And he explained Philippines, what kind of Philippine people, sentimental movement for Japanese people. I didn't believe that. And I told them I denied like you. Then since then I studied a lot. But so Indonesia same. So I changed my mind.
I think actually bottom line is actually where this is going is that what you're saying is we have no blame for what happened. It was the military. We had the best intentions. We were betrayed. Actually, it is not our fault. We couldn't do anything. That's it. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. It's very difficult to find out what is the truth.
Okay. So, I think that is what makes people very uncomfortable. Maybe in Japan, within the Japanese culture, it's possible because there is a collectivism. In Europe, we are taught to think independently, to vote independently, and that everybody has an influence in stopping things. So we have the power to stop things, and we take responsibility as a human, as every individual. In Japan, maybe that doesn't exist, but that cultural difference makes the view of Japan very difficult when they say it's not our fault. It's where the other people,
understandable.
The other
and after World War II, Japanese is very they discarded their identity and their history, and they never consider for the past Japanese mentality spirit. So it's different people.